Hello again, chemistry friends, Mr. Tro here. We are going to do the writing and balancing chemical reactions lab. It's a very quick process that I'm going to go through with you. Basically, I'm going to be mixing different chemicals together, and we're going to see what kind of products they produce. I'm going to show you the chemicals here in just a second, and we can talk through then what the procedure would be like. Okay, so what I have set up here is I have 4 sodium-based chemicals on the left-hand side: sodium sulfate, sodium hydroxide, sodium phosphate, and sodium carbonate. And then along the top side here, I have a bunch of different types of solutions: silver nitrate, lead nitrate, calcium chloride, iron chloride, magnesium sulfate, and copper sulfate. Now, if you notice, they make a nice little 6x4 reaction matrix. And these are called well plates. And so I've got a well plate here, 2 of them side by side, matching up. And basically what we're going to do is, in this lab, we're going to mix every iteration of these chemicals together, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and see if they produce a product. Now, at the same time you're watching the lab, you should have the lab open on your device. And you can see that there is a data table right here that completely matches up with the chemicals that I'm going to be mixing together. So it's in the same order. So if we talk about sodium carbonate mixing with silver nitrate, that's going to be reaction number 1. You can see we labeled it number 1. And that would be what we see when we look into this well right here. Okay? Now, after I mix these chemicals together, there's going to be a couple possibilities that would happen. Number 1 is that maybe they don't react, and that's possible. It's possible that chemical 1 and chemical 2, when they put together, there's no benefit for them to react, so they don't. And so you wouldn't see much of a difference. If that was the case, then in our table, we're probably going to write something like no reaction or the initials NR. But for most of them, what we're going to see is there's going to be a reaction that occurs that creates some sort of a product. Now, in this case, the product is going to be a solid. And we have a word for a product that's a solid. When you mix 2 solutions together and you get a solid, the solid kind of falls out of the reaction, similar to the way that, say, water, rain, or ice, sleet, snow would fall out of the atmosphere. And we have a name for that in terms of sleet and snow. We call it precipitation. Same thing in chemistry. So if we see a solid formed, that's technically going to be a solid precipitate, or there's going to be a precipitation that occurs. Our goal in the lab is to not only identify that, but to also identify its color and texture. So we might say, oh, it's a red, grainy solid, or maybe it's yellow flecks, or maybe it's white and milky. We're going to describe it as well. Okay, so hopefully we can see it well with the camera, and I will also try to give you a little bit of insight on what I'm seeing here in real time. Okay, so here we go.
Okay, you might notice that I changed to blue well plates, and that's simply so there's a little more contrast in case we see a white precipitate. It's probably easier to see it that way. Okay, we're going to take sodium carbonate, and I'm going to do this the most efficient way I can. I'm just going to put 4 drops in each cell. Might as well fill up all the ones that are going to have that chemical all at once. And now we'll do silver nitrate. So we can see that there is a white solid there, kind of a white specks. You can see individual small white specks of solid. Okay. I'll get a close-up of these later. Let's do lead nitrate with the same substance. There's also a white solid, but it's more cloudy. It's more of a white cloudy precipitate. Calcium chloride. Okay, very slight, but there is a kind of a hazy, tiny little white specks. So it looks like carbonate must like to make white precipitates. Let's see if that continues. Well, you're going to use iron chloride. Oh, we see something different now. Okay. Magnesium sulfate. don't see anything there. And copper sulfate. Okay, so there's another very faint, almost a powder blue solid. Powder blue, very fine solid. Okay. And the iron chloride formed a red solid. Okay, let's move on to sodium phosphate. We'll do every square or every cell. And we're going to see if phosphates like to create precipitates. So let's do the same 6 chemicals with that solution. So here's silver nitrate. It's a yellow solid, yellow specks. Lead nitrate. That's a white solid. It's actually more milky, right? So it's like a white, swirly, milky substance. Calcium chloride. That also forms a white solid. Kind of chunky, a chunky white solid. Iron chloride. Now, I am colorblind, so I'm not exactly sure what that is, but you might have to identify that one yourself, to be honest with you. I don't know the color of that. It's not white. It's also not yellow, or pure yellow. So we'll zoom in on that a little later. Magnesium sulfate. A very fine white solid. Copper sulfate. Okay, very fine as well. Let's move on to sodium hydroxide. Okay, sodium hydroxide with the same 6 chemicals. Looks like it has a brown solid occurred. Lead nitrate. Just a white flecks. Calcium chloride. It's very hard to see, very faint, very, very faint. Tiny little grains of solid, white solid. Iron chloride. A brown solid. Magnesium sulfate. Nothing. And copper sulfate. Nothing there either. Nothing there. Okay, last run, sodium sulfate. We're going to see if sulfates tend to form precipitates. Again, same chemicals. Doesn't appear to be anything there. Lead nitrate. Oh, disregard. I spilled a little, so disregard that. Definitely a white chunky solid. Calcium chloride. Nothing. Nothing. Iron chloride. A very faint, hard to see the color in the blue background, so we'll have to come back to that one a little later, but there's a very faint solid in there. And then magnesium sulfate. I don't see anything there. And then copper sulfate. I don't see anything there.
Okay, now zooming in, right? This would be reaction 1. I'm going to show you reactions 1 through 6, nice and close, and you can see the tiny specks and the color maybe a little better. There's 3, there's 4, 5, and 6. Very tiny specks in there as well. Here's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Here's 13, 14, 15, very faint, 16, 17, 18, you can see swirly solid in there, almost a milky, And then we've got 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Now, if you remember, when I started mixing them together, I talked about how I switched to blue well plates to see some of the colors a little better. That really helped with our lighter colors, like the whites and stuff like that. But some of the darker colors, it's really hard to tell what they are. So I'm gonna do the reaction again off camera. I'm gonna do the whole reaction set again off camera with the white well plates. And then I'll zoom in on them so you guys can see. That way, if there's any questions in our data table, we can use the second experiment to filter out some of the questions we had, okay? So let me do that. Okay, we zoom in now. Reaction 1, reaction 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So those are the overall colors with a white background. And then right below them, those are the overall colors with a blue background. And here they are together. Okay, so hopefully you have enough information now, and you can pause the video and go back and look if you need to comment on whether there was a precipitate or not, and if there was, what color it was and what consistency it might have been, whether it was flaky or little tiny grains or milky or cloudy. That should all be included in your data table. Okay, so now that we're done with the lab, you should be in a position to complete the analysis portion on the backside. Your teacher will go through with you the process of how to predict the product or the products that were produced, how to write their formulas, how to balance the equation, and you'll do that in class and hopefully be able to complete up the backside of the lab. Okay? This is Mr. Tro signing off. Take care. I'll see you later.